Christina Rossetti, Echo. Come to me in the silence of the night. Come in the sparkling silence of a dream. Come with soft rounded cheeks and eyes as bright as sunlight on a stream. Come back in tears, a memory, hope, love of finished years. Oh, dream how sweet, too sweet, too bittersweet. Whose awakening should have been in paradise, where souls brimful of love abide and meet, where thirsting longing eyes watch the slow door, that opening letting in, lets out no more. Yet come to me in dreams, that I may live my very life again, though cold in death. Come back to me in dream, that I may give pulse for pulse, breath for breath, speak low, lean low. As long ago, my love, how long ago? Christina Rossetti was born December 5th, 1830, in London, England. She was one of the 4 children born to Italian parents. Her father was the poet Gabriel Rossetti. Her brother Dante also became a poet and a painter. Her other brother William Michael Rossetti became a critic and a writer. The 2 brothers were amongst the founding members of the Pre-Affiliate Brotherhood. Her sister Maria Rossetti also became a published writer, and later an Anglican nun. Rossetti was a devout Anglican, so much so that she called off a 2-year engagement when her fiancé converted to Roman Catholicism. In the 1840s, the deterioration of her father's physical and mental health forced him to resign from his position as professor of Italian at King's College. Consequently, all the children needed to find work in order to contribute to the family's dire financial circumstances. Christina, the youngest and having the frailest health out of the 4 children, wrote encyclopedia articles. She began writing at age 12. She specialized in sonnets, hymns, ballads, and drawings from Bible. Rossetti's poems are studied by religious scholars because of her consistent effort to deal with the conflict between earthly passions eros and spiritual love agape. Her poetry is permeated with her struggles in her own life to resolve the conflict. She ultimately chose a life of asceticism based on the fear that giving into her earthly passions will land her in hell. She wrote her first 2 poems at age 18 in 1848 entitled Death's Chill Between and Heart's Chill Between. Her most famous poem and first published poem came much later when she turned 31 in 1862 entitled Goblin Market and Other Poems. With this poem came widespread criticism, which established her as the main female poet of the time. Rossetti was a volunteer worker from 1859 to 1870 at the St. Mary Magdalene House of Charity in Highgate, which was a refuge for former prostitutes, and is thought Goblin Market may have been inspired by the fallen women she came to know. Christina Rossetti was ambivalent about women's suffrage, but many scholars have identified feminist themes in her poetry. She opposed slavery, cruelty to animals, and the exploitation of girls and underage prostitution. Rossetti maintained a very large circle of friends and correspondents and continued to write and publish till her death, focusing more on devotional writing and children's poetry. In the latter part of Rossetti's life, she suffered from the Graves' disease. In 1893, she developed breast cancer, and though the tumor was removed, she suffered a recurrence in September 1894. She died on December 29, 1894, and was buried in Highgate Cemetery. In the early 20th century, Rossetti's popularity began to fade in the wake of modernism. Scholars began to explore Freudian themes in her work, such as religious and sexual repression, reaching for personal, biographical interpretations of her poetry. Although the feminists held her as a symbol of constrained female genius, placed as a leader of the 19th century poets, famous critic Basil Selincourt stated that she was all but our greatest woman poet, incomparable, our greatest craftswoman, probably in the first 12 of the masters of the English verse.